State of Tech, the European edition. I'm Samantha Lawrence.
And I'm Bob Russell. Today, Anthropic locks away its most dangerous AI model and only lets 40 companies near it. Global data center spending hits $1 trillion, but half the builds might not happen on time. TSMC's latest sales numbers could signal trouble for Europe's chip supply. Scientists load an entire genome onto a quantum computer. Pony.ai builds a self-driving AI that teaches itself, and the U.S. scrambles to figure out how to actually govern artificial intelligence. Let's start with Anthropic.
So Anthropic has a new AI model called Mythos. And Bob, this one is fascinating because they've essentially built it and then said, nope, you can't have it.
And for good reason. Mythos is a cybersecurity AI that can autonomously find and exploit software vulnerabilities. We're talking about a system that matches or exceeds what the best human security researchers can do. It can probe software, find the cracks, and figure out how to break in, all on its own.
Which is terrifying and incredibly useful at the same time.
That's the dual-use problem in a nutshell. So instead of a public release, Anthropic is running something called Project Glasswing. About 40 organizations get access: Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and the idea is they use Mythos defensively. Find the holes in widely used software before the bad guys do, then patch them.
So it's basically a controlled deployment. An elite club of companies that get to use this thing to harden their systems.
And the rest of us just have to trust that this arrangement works. Which brings us to the bigger question. Who decides which AI is too dangerous to release? Anthropic made that call themselves here. There's no regulator that forced this.
And that's exactly what makes this so significant. This is a company voluntarily saying our product is too risky for the open market. That's rare.
It sets a precedent, and it raises the bar for every other AI lab. If Anthropic holds back a model on safety grounds, what does it say about competitors who might not?
Now for Europe. European cybersecurity firms and critical infrastructure operators are likely among those 40 organizations. But this whole situation is going to fuel debate in Brussels. The EU AI Act already categorizes high-risk systems, but a model that can both defend and attack software? That's a regulatory gray zone that needs urgent attention.
And there's a control question, too. These 40 organizations are mostly American tech giants. European policymakers will want to know, where's European sovereignty in this arrangement? If your critical infrastructure depends on an American company's goodwill to share its best defensive AI, that's a strategic vulnerability in itself.
Something tells me we'll hear a lot more about this from Brussels in the coming weeks.
Let's talk about data centers. Global spending on data center infrastructure hit $1.086 trillion in 2025. Let that sink in. That's more than what was spent on upstream oil and gas. It actually matches global investment in solar energy.
And the driver is obvious: AI. Everyone needs compute, everyone needs it now, and everyone is building.
Except here's the problem. Between 30 and 50% of large U.S. data centers scheduled to come online this year could face delays or outright cancellations. The bottleneck? Electrical equipment. Power transformers specifically. The U.S. imports a huge chunk of those from China, and with increased tariffs, that supply line is getting choked.
So we've got this incredible gold rush moment where money is pouring in, but the physical stuff you need to actually build these facilities, it's just not there fast enough.
And this isn't just an American problem. If the global supply of transformers and heavy electrical gear is constrained, everyone feels it.
Europe is right in the middle of this. The continent's data center market is expanding rapidly. Finland and Portugal are emerging as attractive locations because of their energy profiles. But European builders are competing for the same transformers, the same cooling systems, the same specialized construction crews.
And Europe has an added complication. Energy grids here are already under pressure from the green transition. Plugging in massive AI data centers on top of that? Some countries simply don't have the grid capacity yet.
The EU's been vocal about AI's environmental footprint. Well, this is where that rhetoric meets reality. You can't run the AI revolution on good intentions. You need actual power infrastructure. Quick interruption. If you listen to The State of Tech regularly, hit that like button and subscribe. That way you'll never miss an episode. Okay, moving on. TSMC releases its March sales figures today, and Bob, a lot of people are watching this one very closely.
Because TSMC is the bottleneck that matters most. They manufacture the most advanced AI chips on the planet. NVIDIA, Apple, AMD, they all depend on TSMC's foundries in Taiwan. So when TSMC reports, you're basically getting a health check on the entire global AI hardware pipeline.
And the context is tense. There are geopolitical concerns around Taiwan, potential energy disruptions on the island, and even a shortage of helium, which is essential in chip manufacturing.
If the numbers are strong, it signals that TSMC is managing all of that and still meeting demand. If there's any softness or warning signs, markets will react fast.
The key thing here is that this isn't just about one company's revenue. TSMC's capacity dictates how quickly AI products reach the market everywhere.
For Europe, the dependency is stark. European companies building AI applications, autonomous systems, advanced robotics, they need cutting-edge chips, and those chips come from Taiwan. There's no meaningful alternative at the same technology level. If TSMC signals any strain, European manufacturers face longer lead times and higher costs. And the continent's ambitions to be a major AI player? Those get pushed back too.
It really underscores why the European Chips Act exists, to reduce exactly this kind of dependency. But building fabs takes years. Right now, Europe watches and waits.
Now something genuinely exciting from the world of quantum computing. Researchers have loaded a complete genome onto a quantum computer for the first time ever.
This is a collaboration between the Wellcome Sanger Institute and universities in Oxford, Cambridge, Melbourne, and Kyiv, using an IBM quantum machine with a 156-qubit Heron processor. And it's a real milestone.
So why does this matter beyond the cool factor? Genomic analysis is monstrously complex. Classical computers struggle with certain types of pattern matching and mutation identification at scale. Quantum computing could eventually make that dramatically faster and more precise.
Think about tracking infectious diseases in real time, or pinpointing the exact genetic mutations that cause rare disorders. This is the foundation for that kind of future.
It's still early. Nobody is running clinical genomics on quantum hardware tomorrow, but this proves the concept works. You can encode biological data at this scale on a quantum system and actually do something with it.
And the European angle here is genuinely strong. Oxford, Cambridge, the Sanger Institute. European institutions are at the heart of this achievement. The EU has been investing heavily in quantum technologies, and this is exactly the kind of result that justifies that investment. It could attract even more funding and foster new partnerships between European research centers and the quantum industry.
Plus, and I love this, there's a team from Kyiv involved. Science doesn't stop, even under the most difficult circumstances.
Chinese autonomous driving company Pony.ai has launched something called Pony World 2.0. Bob, what's the big deal here?
The big deal is the self-improvement loop. This isn't just an autonomous driving model that gets updated by engineers. Pony World 2.0 autonomously identifies its own weaknesses, then guides targeted data collection to fix those specific problems. It's a self-improving system that gets better by knowing where it's bad.
That's a fundamentally different approach to developing self-driving technology. Instead of humans constantly diagnosing and debugging, the AI itself drives the improvement cycle.
And Pony.ai is targeting level 4 autonomy. That's full self-driving in defined conditions with no human backup needed. This kind of self-improving engine could massively accelerate getting there.
The reliability problem has always been the big barrier. Self-driving cars work 99% of the time, but it's that last 1% that causes accidents. A system that systematically hunts down its own failure modes? That's how you close the gap.
For Europe, this is a competitive and regulatory story. European cities are running autonomous vehicle trials, but the technology is coming increasingly from Chinese and American companies. Brussels will need to think carefully about safety standards, data privacy, because these systems collect enormous amounts of road data, and whether Europe wants to set its own rules or align with what's emerging globally.
And the clock is ticking on that. These systems are improving fast.
All right, let's wrap up with AI governance in the U.S. because, honestly, it's turning into quite the spectacle. The Trump administration just released a national policy framework for artificial intelligence, and California has its own executive order on generative AI in state government.
So you've got the federal government going one direction, California going another, and then who knows how many other states working on their own approaches. It's a patchwork quilt, and nobody's sure the pieces match.
The themes are familiar: transparency, risk management, ethical use. California is particularly focused on AI as the front door to government services, which is interesting. If you're interacting with your state government, you might be talking to an AI, and California wants rules around that.
I find it sort of endearing, actually. Europe spent years putting together the AI Act, this massive, comprehensive framework. And the US is just now going through that messy phase of everyone figuring it out at once.
It's the American way, right? Let 1,000 flowers bloom and then try to sort out the garden later.
And for European companies operating in the US, this fragmentation is a real headache. You've got to comply with the EU AI Act at home, and then navigate a different set of rules in every American state you do business in.
But there's a silver lining for Europe. The EU AI Act is becoming a global reference point. As the US debates these issues, European standards are already influencing the conversation. Brussels got there first, and that matters.
It's one of those rare moments where European regulation is actually ahead of the curve instead of playing catch-up. I'll take the win.
Fair enough.
Today we covered Anthropic locking away its dangerous Mythos AI, data center spending hitting $1 trillion but stalling on supply chains, TSMC's crucial sales report and what it means for chips, a genome loaded onto a quantum computer for the first time, Pony.ai's self-improving autonomous driving engine, and America's messy scramble to govern AI.
Want to know more or react? Visit stateoftech.eu or email us at info@doorzetters.net. State of Tech, the tech world in 15 minutes.